Come on! Oh my god, it's you! That must mean that this is...
Obscure Movie of the Week.
My god, it's full of stars.
Come on! Today I'm talking about a wonderful, underrated, unknown, and largely unwatched classic film called I Wanna Hold Your Hand.
I figured out a way to get into the Beatles hotel.
The chances are 1,000,000 to 1.
Hey, stop
but some of them just might make it.
This film, believe it or not, was written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, who wrote, you know that other little movie, Back to the Future 1, 2 and 3. It is also directed by Robert Zemeckis, who directed Back to the Future 1, 2 and 3. And this film is produced by Steven Spielberg, who we all know who he is, and he produced Back to the Future.
Shit.
So this is the same team who made, who assembled, who created the well-loved, wonderfully revered, deservedly so, Back to the Future trilogy, and yet almost nobody knows about this movie. What a tragedy, because it's so good. Also, it is based upon the Beatles, and it's the true story of when the Beatles went over for the first time to America. Really, this is so perfect for Robert Zemeckis because Robert Zemeckis is so good at dealing with time. Robert Zemeckis, obviously in Back to the Future, he's dealing with jumping back and forth between the past, the 50s, and the future.
Little girl, stop, look, I need to borrow your hoverboard.
Robert Zemeckis also directed Forrest Gump, which is so good at dealing with time, again going backwards through time and showing American history. This is just something that Robert Zemeckis is really, really good at. Even his most recent film with Brad Pitt is excellent at being very, very convincing of the time period that it is set in. Zemeckis almost never seems to like working in present day. And one of the things that's so good about I Want to Hold Your Hand is not just the characters, which are great, the direction, which is great, the cinematography, which is great, because Zemeckis always has fantastic and controlled cinematography. But one thing that's exceptional about it is the time factor, because to be perfectly honest, I'm convinced that since the film was kind of such a flop in comparison to what they expected, you could actually release this movie into cinemas right now and it's not really dated at all because of the time it is set. It is set in the past, so if you released it now it would still be set in the past, and there's nothing dated about it other than certain actors who you will recognise and say, wait, that person was young 20 years ago, how can this be a new movie?
Rosie, Grace, Pam, Janice, Smirko.
This film is so good. Robert Zemeckis before Back to the Future was not perfect. He did Romancing the Stone, he did Used Cars. These have aspects of Zemeckis, but they are not the polished Zemeckis in the way we know him when he is at his best. This is something that was clearly worked out. The script, everything is very solid. It ascends from start to finish. It is fun from start to finish. It is adventurous. It is funny. It is really an unknown and largely underappreciated gem. Zemeckis said that when the film first screened, he was celebratory because the audiences loved it. He said he'd never sat in a cinema and had such incredibly positive reactions. And him and Spielberg and Bob Gale, they all thought, man, this is gonna be a big hit. We've really done it. We've hit the nail on the head. It's gonna be huge. And then what happened? It came out in the cinema and nobody went to see it. And he said that it was a learning curve where he realized that just because you make a great film doesn't mean that you actually have a big success. There are many, many factors that have to come together to actually get your film to the top, largely marketing. But back then maybe people weren't so interested in the Beatles. It was a younger generation. It was like they probably thought, well, my parents listened to the Beatles, this movie isn't for me. So for whatever reason, it wasn't the kind of success that it deserved to be. I expect one day, gradually, incrementally, this film will be unearthed and it will be an underground success that will rise up until people will just say, of course I know I Want to Hold Your Hand. It's Robert Zemeckis, the guy who made Back to the Future and Forrest Gump and Cast Away. He's a huge director, everybody knows that guy, and everybody knows that film. But for now, I've actually never met anyone who's even seen it. Can you believe it? Robert Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg. And almost no one has seen this film. Well, hopefully you become one of the people who do see it if you haven't seen it already.
They've got no money, no tickets, no driver's license, and no fear.
Anyway, that's it for this week. I hope you're well, I hope you take care of yourselves, I hope you have or are having a lovely day or night, whatever time it is, in your part of the earth, your side of the globe, your part of the world. Be well, be happy, take care.